guys, what's up? It's Mario here with Hex Technology, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a comparison between the OnePlus One from OnePlus and the HTC One M8 from HTC. These two phones are the flagships for both companies, but for flagships the prices are very different. A OnePlus One comes at $299 or $349, while the One M8 comes at a whopping price of $700 US. But other than that, let's get right into the comparison and waste no more time, as this is going to be a very lengthy video. So in terms of build quality for both of these phones, they're made out of very different materials. The HTC is made out of a very nice but slippery brushed aluminum, which I have dropped once or twice already in my time with the phone. On the other hand, the OnePlus One is made out of a very nice soft grip sandstone material on the back, and it's personally very rare that I've ever seen this on a phone, and I think this is probably the first one with this material. And the sides are made out of plastic, which I tend not to drop, but then again, for the person that drops phones, your phone might break. On the right side of this phone, you have your volume rockers for the HTC, as well as your micro SD card slot, and on the OnePlus One you have your power button. On the top of these phones you have your on the OnePlus One you have your 3.5mm headphone jack, and on the M8 you have your power button as well as your IR blaster. On the back of these phones you have your cameras. On the HTC M8 you have your dual tone flash as well as your dual camera. And on the left side as well, you have your SIM card slot and your volume rockers on the OnePlus One. On the bottom of the phone, you have your headphone jack and micro USB for the HTC, and you have a microphone and dual stereo speakers for the OnePlus One. Now, in terms of display, both of these displays have a very nice HD display. The HTC One M8 has a screen 5 inches 1080p screen with 441 pixels, while the OnePlus One also has a 5.5 inch screen, which is full HD, but it only has 401 pixels per inch. Now, I really do enjoy this screen on the OnePlus One. It's really hard to tell the difference between both of these. They're both the same resolution, and it's really hard to determine the amount of pixels on each one with a naked eye. In terms of thinness, these phones are very thin. The M8 has dimensions of 146.4 by 17.6 by 9.4 millimeters, and you can see there's not that big of a difference between both, in my opinion. They both have different feelings in the hand from each other, so it's really hard to tell which one's thinner. In terms of weight, all phones are pretty much really light these days, but the M8 weighs 160 grams, which is pretty light on the pocket, but if you insert a case, it's going to be pretty heavy. And for the OnePlus One, it weighs 162 grams, so there's not even a competition. They're about the same weight. 2 grams doesn't really make a difference. But yeah. Okay, so pricing. Pricing is a very, very big difference, and that's why lots of people are being attracted to the OnePlus One, because it has flagship specs, but not for a flagship price. The HTC costs $200 to $300 on a 2-year contract, while you get that same amount of money if you spend it on the OnePlus One. You don't have to sign a contract, and you get it unlocked off contract. And this is why OnePlus named this the flagship killer. So in terms of storage on both phones, I have the 64 gig OnePlus One and a 32 gig HTC M8. Now there's one major difference between both phones. On the HTC One M8, you have expandable micro SD storage, which you can expand up to 128 gigs, which is a lot of memory on the phone. And if you need that much memory, I highly doubt anyone would need that much memory. I could totally see you guys doing that. But on the OnePlus One, you get 64 gigs or 16 gigs of storage, depending on how much you pay for the phone. If you pay $299, you get a 16 gigabyte model, but I recommend paying $50 more and getting the 64 gig. It's not that big of a harm. $50 in terms of storage on your phone is going to help you in the long run. And 52 gigs on my phone feels really nice right now, and I wish I could pay 64 gigs and $350 for my iPhone off contract. That would be just insane. But yeah, in terms of storage, I really liked OnePlus, and yeah. So battery is pretty big. M8 has been really raved for its battery. Everyone loves the battery on the phone, and I get about 4 hours on screen time until the battery dies on me. I use it all throughout the day to watch Netflix, on social media and whatever, and the screen is consistently on, and you can see it just dropped from the day since the day started. And right now at 12 o'clock, I'm editing this video, it's at 2%. But the OnePlus One, I really haven't had that much time on the battery since it didn't come full charged when I had it. But it has a 3100 milliamp hour battery, and I'm pretty sure it's going to last you a while. But I'll have an update on the battery video, on a separate video about the battery. Some notable features about both of these phones is on the HTC One M8, the newest feature that separates it from the M7 is the dual camera on the back. The second camera, the smaller camera, uses it to be focused better, to have your pictures focus better. On the OnePlus One, my favorite feature is the on-screen buttons and how you can change them to on-screen to capacitive buttons. It's something really cool, and I wish a lot of these other phones had it as well, especially my Nexus 5, because that runs CyanogenMod as well. But you can see if you just go into settings and go into buttons, you can change your capacitive buttons to your on-screen buttons. I'd rather have the capacitive screen buttons because the on-screen buttons take up a little bit of screen real estate, and as much screen as I have, the more happier I am. But yeah, it's a very cool feature, and a lot of people are actually really excited about this when they first saw it in the teaser video or on OnePlus's website. So in terms of software, the HTC One M8 is a very nice phone in terms of software. It's running HTC Sense 6.0 and Android 4.4.2. HTC's also always been slow on updating its Android, but right now I really don't care about that because I just love HTC Sense. It has really nice features, especially when your phone is turned off. You can swipe to the right and your blink feed opens up, and I know a lot of people have actually started using this a lot because of how simple they made this. They made blink feed on 6.0, and I personally use it all the time just because I have everything hooked up to it. So you can see I do check it a lot, and most of the time. And the app drawer is something I do also like. Just really all of HTC Sense 6 I just love, and I don't use Nova Launcher on this phone because usually on any phone I like stock Android, and I use Nova Launcher, but on this phone I don't use it because I like HTC Sense 6, and if HTC provided me a good launcher or a good software to use, I'll use it. Unlike Samsung, TouchWiz pretty much sucks. I don't think anyone actually uses it, and I always install Nova Launcher. And the OnePlus One also has very basic software. I mean, not really, but it's running stock Android. It's running CyanogenMod 11S, the custom software created for the OnePlus One itself. CyanogenMod teamed up with the OnePlus One to create separate software just for this, and you can see it's running CyanogenMod 11. So it's also running Android 4.4.2 on top of it. CyanogenMod's running on top of it, obviously. But I think we'll be seeing 4.4.4 for soon. I know my Nexus 5 and my Nexus 7 received it. I'm not sure when this is going to be receiving it. But CyanogenMod is always quick on their updates, and that's something I do like about them as well. And yeah, so if you guys don't know, I really love stock Android. It's just really simple and it's so customizable. And I also love CyanogenMod. I've been using CyanogenMod ever since I rooted my Nexus. It's kind of been my go-to ROM for whenever I needed something, and it's personally one of my favorite ROMs. I can't say anything. There's nothing wrong with CyanogenMod right now. I know when people first started receiving their OnePlus Ones, they were having many problems with CyanogenMod, but since I received it, I really haven't had that many problems with CyanogenMod 11S, and I give big props to CyanogenMod for creating this. And there's just so many customizable features such as themes, fonts, and your lock screen, and just so much more, and just love it. Okay guys, so getting into the nerd part of this video, we're going to be talking about specs. So finally, where the OnePlus One kills in specs, it has flagship specs. But before we start the OnePlus One specs, these are the specs for the HTC One M8. The HTC One M8 has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 processor clocked in at 2.3 GHz if you're in the US. If you're in Asia or the overseas market, has a 2.5 GHz processor, and it's a quad core, and the GPU that it's running is an Adreno 3. The OnePlus One has amazing specifications as well. It has literally the same specifications as the HTC One M8, and this is why they call it the flagship killer. It doesn't come at a flagship price, but it has flagship specs. So the specifications that it has a Snapdragon 801 processor. Instead, this processor is clocked in at 2.5 GHz as an Adreno 330 GPU, same as the HTC One M8, and this has just 1 more gig of RAM, coming in at 3 GB, while the HTC One M8 only has 2 GB. So you can see that there's not that big of a difference between these specs, and they are very, very similar. I hope you guys enjoyed that comparison between the HTC One M8 and the OnePlus One. I know it wasn't the best comparison out there, but I'm just getting used to comparing phones, and there are a lot more comparison videos to come. So if you guys liked it, make sure to hit that like button down below. It really helps out the channel. Please subscribe to the channel for more OnePlus One content and many other awesome videos on the OnePlus One. So I will catch you guys in the next video. Alright, peace guys.